What to say if someone says, I need to speak to my husband about it? Now, you may get this one, especially if you're working mainly with women. Now, I'm going to give you two different types of techniques how to deal with this, because it depends on it depends on the kind of coach you are. So if you are a career or a business coach, you'll say one thing. But if you are a life coach, and especially if you're helping women who have been abused or in controlling relationships, you want to kind of handle that a bit differently. So this is what I want you to start. This is what I'm gonna give you two, and then depending on your target market is the one that you're gonna choose. Okay, but first of all, women right now are very much empowered to make financial decisions for themselves. Okay, they are very much empowered. So what you've got to think about, especially if the woman is in a loving relationship, she's either married or living with a partner, she is able to make those decisions herself. Also, what you've got to think about is, if a woman has a close relationship with her partner, or even if she doesn't actually, she doesn't always have to ask permission for her husband to spend that money, or they would have already have actually spoken to their husband about you and about hiring you, so they would have already had that conversation. So because of that, this is how I want you to handle this objection. So if someone says to you, oh, I really want to work with you, but what I need to do first of all is I need to speak to my partner about it. So this is what you want to say. Does your husband support you in your life or in your business? Is he supportive of you? Then she'll say, yeah, of course he's always supportive. And then you'll say, brilliant. So does he know that you've booked this call with me today? And then she'll say, yes, of course he does. You say, brilliant. So you've already spoken about working with me then? And then she'll say, yes. And then what you say is, so what did he say about that? Was he happy for you about that? Was he happy that you're going to find someone that's going to help you to achieve X, Y, and Z? Then she says, yes. So says, well, you've already had the conversation with your husband. He is already in agreement. You know that me and you are going to achieve great things together. We're going to accomplish X, Y, and Z. You always want to tell them the result that they're going to get when they work with you. You know that we're going to achieve this. So let's get started. So what are we hanging around for? Let's get started. I'll just take your card payment. Okay? That's how you handle it. That's the first way to handle it. Okay? So you kind of just bypass the fact that she needs to speak to her husband about it, because you know that she doesn't need his permission, because she's already made the decision and she's already told her husband that yes, okay, I'm gonna work with you. Okay? She's gonna work with you. Then the second thing you want to do is you want to say this. Now, this is something that I always do first anyway. I always say, something, I'm married and I really respect marriage. And, me and my husband, we talk about everything financial before I even spend anything. So what I want to ask you though is, does your husband trust you? Then she'll say, yes, of course he does. And you say, okay, great. So if he trusts you and he believes in you, your life or your business, tell me the reason why you believe that you need to ask him. Because he trusts you, doesn't he? And then you want to sit and just let her really think about that, because she doesn't really need to ask her husband. What she's doing is she's delaying the part where it comes to paying you. So you've got to call that out, okay? So, and then she'll say, well, I don't need to ask his permission. So we're great, okay. I'll take your card details now, and then we'll set a date in the diary for next week as to when we have our first session. And always smile, okay? So that's the second thing you do. Now, if you've done 1 and 2, but yet she still wants to go and speak to her husband, that is completely fine. Then let her go and speak to her husband. So this is what you do. You've done you've taken steps 1 and 2, And then you say, okay, great, you go and speak to your husband. So what time does your husband get back from work today? She'll say 6 o'clock. You say, great, okay, what I want you to do then is tell me, what is it that you're going to say to your husband about working with me? The reason why you want to say that is because you want to then coach her about how to sell working with you. So you want to give her step by step what she should say before to speak, when she speaks to her husband, because you don't want this to be vague, because the number one thing that husbands and that men want to see is that they want to see results. So you have to lay out step by step for a man to say, yes, I completely agree. So tell her step by step what she should say, okay? And then what she should say is something like this. For example, this is what I would say if I was having a discovery call. So I will say, this is what you say to your husband. I've been following Petra online. I've watched all of her videos. I've been to her training events. And what she teaches exactly how to sell your services for 3,000 or more and enroll clients within 6 weeks or less. Now, you know that I've been really struggling in my business for the past 6 months, and I really do believe that working with Petra is really going to help me to enroll clients and to get them fast. And love, you see how much, you see how I've been really struggling in it. So what do you say? I really want to work with her. Are you okay with that? So you tell her exactly what to say. And then you'll say, okay, so what time does he come from work? And then she'll say 6 o'clock. You say, great, okay. So what we'll do, you speak to him at 6 o'clock and then send me a message on Facebook when you've spoken to him, and then we'll get on the phone straight away, and then you can let me know your decision. And then you can let me know, no, don't say decision. Then you can let me know when we can start, okay? Because what you've done there is you've done a presumptive close. You've said to her when we can start, okay? So you're already saying to her, we're going to start, your husband's going to say yes, okay? So that's how you want to deal with that. If I need to speak to my husband about it. Now, if you are a life coach and you help your clients, now your clients have been abused, controlled, and by their partners, they may not feel empowered to spend that money with you without speaking to their partner. So you want to handle it this way. Now, during the discovery call questions, you're going to ask them first anyway, do you need to get permission from your husband to invest in yourself? Okay? That's a question you're going to ask during the discovery call, because you're going to use it in the close. So this is how you use it. If you say, I need to speak to my husband about it. So then you'll say this, okay? What you've told me that, what you'll say is, the reason why you booked this call with me is because you have been in abusive relationships. It's because you have been, in controlling relationships. And it's because you haven't been able to make decisions for yourself. Is that right? She'll say yes. And then you say, is it not time to change that? Is it not time that you start making empowered decisions for yourself? Because remember, this isn't just for you. This is about your children. So your children can also make empowered decisions for themselves, so that you can no longer be passing on this, this cycle of abuse and control that you've been going through for the past 10 years onto your children. So look at this as you are now changing the story of your children's lives. This is about you changing their legacy. When you say yes to yourself and you say, you know something, You're going to work with me in order to no longer be feeling like you have to be controlled, feel like you have to ask any man for permission, because you don't. You are independent. And even though you don't feel it right now, working with me is going to be, we're going to bring out that inner independence that you have. Okay? So, are you ready? Are you ready right now to start this new journey with us together? Start this new journey and create a new life and a new future. We are literally going to rewrite your future, so you never ever have to ask for permission from a man ever again. You are empowered, you are independent, and we're going to get you there. And we're going to get you there within 3 months. So all you need to do is take your card and we'll take your payment straight away. We'll take the investment straight away. Is that okay? Good. During this process, you want to make sure that you empathize with her, you give her eye contact. So right now, you can see that I'm looking directly at you because I'm looking at the little camera. So right now, if I'm looking here, I'm looking at the screen. So when it comes to closing, you don't want to look at the screen. You want to look here, you want to look at the camera. And then you book in the first session and you take the payment. Okay? So that's how you handle the objections if I need to speak to my husband. Okay? And I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.